My name is Jessica Torres. I'm 28 years old, and I work as a correctional officer. I've only been doing this job for 3 years, but 3 years is more than enough to learn one truth. They are inmates, but they are still people. People with fears, regrets, anger, and sometimes hope. If you want to hear the real stories from behind these walls, the ones most people never talk about, subscribe to this channel. These are the stories I lived, and this is where I tell them. The day Keisha Williams walked into C Block, I watched 23 inmates turn their backs on her, literally turned around, faced the walls, refused to even look at her. I'd never seen anything like it in 3 years of working at Riverside. By the end of that first day, she was eating alone, sitting alone, existing in a bubble of silence that felt heavier than the prison walls themselves. Everyone assumed she deserved it. Everyone except me. I'm Jessica Torres. And this is the story of how an entire prison learned they'd gotten everything wrong about the quietest woman in C Block. Keisha was 24 years old, serving 3 years for vehicular manslaughter. The file said she'd been driving drunk, ran a red light, killed a 17-year-old girl named Maya Patterson. Open and shut case. She'd pled guilty, showed no emotion in court, accepted her sentence without saying a word. The local news had covered it extensively. Maya Patterson had been a star student, athlete, beloved by everyone. Her parents had started a foundation in her name. The whole community mourned. And then Keisha came to Riverside. I didn't understand the reaction at first. Inmates don't usually care about other people's crimes. Everyone's in here for something. But during lunch on Keisha's first day, I overheard conversations that made my blood run cold. That's her, the one who killed Maya Patterson. My cousin went to school with Maya. She was going to Stanford, had her whole life ahead of her. Drunk driver, didn't even apologize, just sat there in court like she didn't care. She doesn't deserve to breathe the same air as us. By dinner, a full shunning had taken effect. In prison, that's a death sentence of a different kind. No one would sit near her. No one would speak to her. If she entered a room, people left. If she tried to make eye contact, heads turned away. It was coordinated, deliberate, and brutal. I watched Keisha that first week. She never complained, never fought back, never demanded to be treated differently. She accepted the isolation like she accepted everything else, silently, with her head down, shoulders hunched inward. She was tall, maybe 5'9", with dark skin and natural hair she kept short. She moved through C Block like a ghost, barely there, taking up as little space as possible. On her 5th day, I found her in her cell during rec time. She was sitting on her bunk, staring at the wall. Everyone else was outside or in the common area. She was alone. "You're allowed outside during rec time," I said from the doorway. She didn't look at me. "I know." "Why aren't you out there?" "Because nobody wants me there." I stepped into the cell. "You can't let them isolate you like this. It's not healthy." For the first time, she looked directly at me. Her eyes were dark brown, deep and sad. "Officer Torres, I killed someone. A kid. I took her whole future away because I was selfish and stupid. If this is my punishment, I deserve it. The court gave you your punishment. 3 years. What they're doing out there, that's not justice. That's cruelty." She turned back to the wall. Maybe cruelty is what I deserve. I couldn't shake that conversation. That night, I went home and looked up the case online. Read every article. Watch the news coverage. Keisha Williams, 21 at the time, had been driving home from a bar. Blood alcohol level twice the legal limit. Ran a red light at 60 miles per hour. T-boned Maya Patterson's car. Maya died at the scene. Keisha had minor injuries. In every photo from the trial, Keisha's face was blank, emotionless. The articles called her cold, remorseless, a monster. But Something bothered me about it. I'd been working with inmates long enough to recognize genuine remorse, and I'd seen it in Keisha's eyes. The way she carried herself, the way she accepted the shunning without protest, that wasn't the behavior of someone who didn't care. That was the behavior of someone drowning in guilt. The shunning continued into the second week. It got worse. Someone started a petition to have Keisha moved to a different facility. Inmates signed it enthusiastically. They wanted her gone. One morning, I found murderer scratched into the paint outside her cell. During breakfast, someone accidentally spilled hot coffee near her, making her jump back. The message was clear. You're not welcome here. That I started sitting near Keisha during meals. Not at her table. That would have been too obvious and might have made things worse for her. But close enough that people knew I was watching, that I'd intervene if things got physical. Some officers asked me why I bothered. She killed a kid, Torres. Let her face the consequences. The consequences are 3 years in prison, not torture. She deserves worse than what she's getting. I couldn't make them understand. Maybe because I didn't fully understand it myself yet. I just knew that what was happening to Keisha felt wrong in a way I couldn't articulate. On a Thursday afternoon, 3 weeks after Keisha arrived, something happened that changed everything. We had a new intake that day, a woman named Patricia Hall, 53 years old, serving 18 months for embezzlement. During processing, Patricia collapsed. Heart attack. Medical rushed her to the infirmary, but she was in bad shape. Dr. Reyes was working on her, but he needed help. The nurse was dealing with another emergency. He was alone. I ran to find someone with medical training. The prison had a volunteer EMT program where certain inmates with medical backgrounds could assist in emergencies. I knew we had 2 certified EMTs in C Block, but when I found them and explained the situation, they both refused. I'm not working with that murderer. One said, "What? Keisha Williams. She's in there with Dr. Reyes, isn't she? I saw her go in earlier for her physical. I'm not going in there if she's there." My heart sank. A woman is dying, and you're refusing to help because Keisha might be in the room? That's right. I ran back to the infirmary. Patricia was on the table, Dr. Reyes performing CPR, sweat dripping down his face. And standing next to him, following his rapid-fire instructions perfectly, was Keisha Williams. Her hands moved with practiced precision. She was counting compressions, preparing medication, acting as his nurse without hesitation. "Keisha, start in 4, left arm," Dr. Reyes barked. She did it flawlessly. "We're losing her. Get me the defibrillator." Keisha had it ready before he finished the sentence. She knew what to do, when to do it, how to help. For 15 minutes, she and Dr. Reyes worked in perfect synchronization, fighting to save Patricia Hall's life. When Patricia's heart finally stabilized and she started breathing on her own, Dr. Reyes collapsed against the wall, exhausted. "Thank God," he breathed. "Keisha, I couldn't have done that without you. Where did you learn to work like that?" Keisha was cleaning her hands, her face carefully neutral. "I was a nursing student. Before the accident." She nodded once, then quietly left the infirmary. I followed her. "Keisha, wait." She stopped but didn't turn around. "You were a nursing student. 2 years at UCLA. I was going to be an ER nurse. That's what I wanted. Why didn't anyone know this?" She finally turned to face me. Her eyes were red, but no tears fell. "Because it doesn't matter. I gave up the right to help people when I killed Maya. I don't get to be a nurse. I don't get to save lives. I took a life. That's all I am now. That's not all you are. You just saved Patricia. Patricia deserves to be saved. Maya deserved to live. I'm the difference between those two things. I'm the reason one person died and another gets to breathe. Don't you see? That's my curse. I know how to save people, and I chose to destroy instead. She walked away, leaving me standing in the corridor with a truth I couldn't quite grasp yet. That night, I couldn't stop thinking about it. I went back to the news articles, read them more carefully this time, found something I'd missed before. A small mention in one article, buried in the middle. Williams had volunteered at the UCLA Medical Center for 2 years and planned to specialize in trauma care. Another article mentioned she'd been working towards scholarships to finish her degree. The next morning, I did something I probably shouldn't have done. I called the public defender who'd represented Keisha. He was surprised to hear from me, but agreed to talk. I need to understand something, I said. Why didn't Keisha show any emotion during the trial? Why didn't she defend herself? There was a long pause. Because she wouldn't let me. What do you mean? I wanted to present evidence. There were mitigating factors, but Keisha refused. She said she was guilty and didn't deserve consideration. She tied my hands. The prosecution had an easy case because she wouldn't let me fight for her. What mitigating factors? Another pause. I probably shouldn't tell you this, but I think someone needs to know. The night of the accident, Keisha had been at the bar? Yes. She'd had 3 drinks over 4 hours. She was legally impaired, but not severely drunk. She was actually waiting for a ride share when she got a call. Her little sister, 15 years old, was at a party where things had gotten dangerous. The sister was scared, called Keisha crying, begging her to come get her. Keisha made a choice. A stupid, terrible choice. She got in the car. My stomach dropped. She was trying to save her sister. She was impaired and shouldn't have been driving, period. That's what she said in court. That's what she believed. But yes, she wasn't just drunk driving for fun. She was trying to rescue her kid sister from a bad situation. And in the process, she killed someone else's kid. The guilt destroyed her. She didn't want anyone to know about her sister because she said it sounded like an excuse. And there was no excuse for what she'd done. I thanked him and hung up. Then I sat in my car in the Riverside parking lot and cried. Because I understood now. Keisha had been a nursing student dedicated to saving lives. She'd made a split-second decision to save her sister, and it had cost Maya Patterson everything. The two sides of Keisha, the healer and the killer, were at war inside her, and she decided the killer was all she deserved to be. That I went to find Dr. Reyes, the woman Keisha helped you save yesterday. Patricia, is she stable enough for visitors? Yes, why? I need to ask her something. Patricia was sitting up in bed when I entered. She smiled weakly when she saw me. Officer Torres, they tell me I'm lucky to be alive. You are. Patricia, do you remember who helped save you? Dr. Reyes said someone assisted him. I was unconscious, so I don't know who. It was Keisha Williams. Her face changed. Recognition, then confusion. The woman everyone hates. The one who killed that girl. Yes, she's also a trained nursing student who worked perfectly under pressure to keep you alive. Without her, Dr. Reyes says you probably would have died. Patricia looked down at her hands. I signed the petition to get her transferred. Last week. I didn't even know her, but I signed it because everyone else did. I know. A lot of people did. She saved my life. Yes. Patricia was quiet for a long time. Then she said, I need to talk to her. Word spread quickly through C Block. Patricia Hall wanted to meet with Keisha Williams. Some inmates were angry about it. Others were curious. By the next morning, the whole block knew that the woman everyone wanted gone had saved Patricia's life. I brought Keisha to the infirmary. Patricia was sitting up, looking stronger. When Keisha entered, she stopped in the doorway, uncertain. Come in, Patricia said gently. Please. Keisha approached slowly. How are you feeling? Alive, Thanks to you. Patricia's eyes filled with tears. They told me what you did, how you helped Dr. Reyes. I would have died if you hadn't been there. I'm glad you're okay. I signed a petition to get rid of you. Patricia's voice cracked. I didn't know you, didn't know your story. Just sign my name, because that's what everyone was doing. And you saved me anyway. Keisha's carefully maintained composure finally cracked. A tear rolled down her cheek. You deserve to be saved. Everyone deserves a chance to live. That's what I learned too late. I want to understand. Patricia said, why did you help me when everyone here treats you like garbage? Because saving people is who I am, or who I was supposed to be. I can't be a nurse anymore. I can't have the life I planned. But I can't stop being the person who wants to help, even when I don't deserve to. Patricia reached out and took Keisha's hand. You do deserve to. You made a terrible mistake, but you're not a monster. You're human, and humans deserve forgiveness, even when they can't forgive themselves. I don't know if it was that conversation or just the accumulation of guilt, but things started to change in C Block. Slowly at first. Someone sat 2 tables away from Keisha at lunch instead of leaving entirely. Then someone else nodded at her in passing. Small gestures, barely noticeable, but they mattered. Then something bigger happened. Dr. Reyes submitted a request to the prison administration. He wanted Keisha to be allowed to assist in the infirmary as a medical aid. It was approved. Suddenly, the woman everyone had shunned was the person helping them when they got sick, treating their injuries, holding their hands during scary moments. It's hard to hate someone who's bandaging your wounds. One evening, about 2 months after Keisha arrived, I found a group of inmates sitting in the common area. Keisha was with them, not isolated anymore, not silent. She was talking quietly about Maya Patterson, about the accident, about her guilt, and they were listening. I think about her every single day, Keisha said. I think about her family, about the life she should have had, about Stanford and her dreams and everything I stole from her. I can't bring her back. I can't fix what I broke. All I can do is try to be worthy of the life I still have. That's my punishment and my responsibility, to live in a way that honors the fact that I survived, and she didn't. One of the women listening wiped her eyes. I judged you so hard when you got here. I'm sorry. Others nodded, murmured apologies. Keisha accepted them with grace. Later that night, I found Keisha alone in her cell, reading a medical textbook someone had ordered for her from the library. Things are different now. I observed. She looked up. You started it, sitting near me at meals, protecting me when no one else would. You didn't have to do that. Yes, I did, because everyone deserves basic human dignity, even in prison. Officer Torres, can I ask you something? Why did you believe I deserved better when everything about me said I didn't? I thought about that, because I've learned that people are more than their worst moments. You made a horrific mistake, but you're also someone who dedicated her life to healing people. Both those things are true, and I think the healing part, that's your real truth. The accident was a tragedy, but it's not the whole story of who you are. She nodded slowly. I'm never going to forgive myself for Maya. Never. But maybe I can learn to live with it. Maybe I can do enough good to balance some of the harm. That's all any of us can do. 3 months later, Patricia Hall was released. On her last day, she came to say goodbye to Keisha. They hugged for a long time, both of them crying. Patricia left behind a letter for the prison administration, requesting that Keisha be allowed to continue her nursing education through correspondence courses. The request was granted. Keisha Williams still has 2 years left on her sentence. She works in the infirmary every day, helping Dr. Reyes, treating inmates with a gentleness and skill that amazes everyone. The woman who was shunned, isolated, and treated as a monster is now one of the most respected people in C Block. That I think about the first day she arrived, about those 23 people turning their backs. I think about how easy it is to judge, to condemn, to decide someone is beyond redemption. And I think about how much we all would have lost if we'd succeeded in breaking Keisha completely to she'll never stop carrying the weight of what she did. Maya Patterson's death will always be a part of her story, but it's not the only part. Keisha is also the woman who saves lives now, who treats every patient like they matter, who shows more compassion to others than she shows herself. The inmates who signed that petition now line up at the infirmary hoping Keisha is the one who'll treat them. The women who wouldn't speak to her now ask her advice, share their problems, trust her with their fears. They learned what I learned, that humanity is complicated, that redemption is possible, and that sometimes the person everyone abandons is the person everyone needs. I learned something too. I learned that standing up for someone when everyone else has turned away isn't always about knowing they're innocent. Sometimes it's about insisting they're human. And that makes all the difference.